Hey there, I'm Trisha and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the Road So Far book tag. I was tagged by Preston from Bull City Reader, and it was originally created by Josh from Beards and Books. I will link both of their videos down below so you can go check them out. Question number 1 is, if you could pick a fictional world to live in, which would you choose and why? I've mentioned this before in a previous tag, but one of the worlds that I would like to live in is the world from All Are Wrong Todays by Elan Mestai. This is one that is a sci-fi book about a world where in the future they have incredibly clean, renewable energy, and they've pretty much eliminated a lot of poverty and a lot of hunger through the invention that gave them this clean energy. And I would love to be able to live in a world like that. I think that sounds really neat. Question number 2, what solo book or book series surprised you the most? And I'm gonna go with surprised me the most in a little bit different of a way. I am going to go with something that recently surprised me, and that was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and surprised me in a, I guess, not so great way. It is a book that I was really anticipating liking. I was thinking it was going to be at least a 3.5 star read for me, probably closer to a 4, and it is about two co-workers that are really just don't get along. They are both assistants to the co-heads of a publishing company, and they end up going against each other for the same job position, and they don't like each other at all, and it's a hate to love trope in an office romance setting. And I thought that I was really going to enjoy this because I do love hate to love romance, but this one was a little bit of a letdown. I didn't really care about the main character after about 150 pages in. I felt like her and her reactions to a lot of what was going on with their developing relationship was very juvenile, and I was able to peg what the main reveal was going to be pretty early on in the book, and it just didn't really live up to the hype for me. I ended up giving that 2.5 out of 5 stars, so it surprised me in the fact that I didn't enjoy it as much as I was thinking I was going to. Question number 3, if you could pick one author to meet, who would you choose and why? And I have a lot of authors that I'd really like to meet, but one that I would really like to meet is Libba Bray. She is the author of the Gemma Doyle trilogy, the Diviners series, and a couple of other standalone books, and I just really love her writing style, and she was the author that got me into historical fantasy when I read the Gemma Doyle trilogy back in high school. She has been one of my favorite authors since high school, and as she's publishing the Diviners series, I just fall more and more in love with her writing style. So definitely one of the authors that I would love to meet most in the world is her. Question number 4 is, if you could read only one genre of book for the rest of your life, which would you choose and why? And I would probably pick fantasy because there's so many different facets of subgenres within fantasy that you can dive into. Question number 5 is, what genre do you rarely read but wish you read more of? And it's not that I rarely read this genre, but it's one that I don't go toward as readily, and I'm a little more picky with the types of books that I read within this genre. But sci-fi, I want to read more of it, but I have a hard time with hard sci-fi. I generally gravitate towards light sci-fi or sci-fi with a fantastical element to it, and I just don't pick it up as readily as I do fantasy or as I do contemporary. Question number 6 is, what book or book series is so intimidating that you are nervous to begin it? And I'm gonna have to go with the Brandon Sanderson books because they take place all in the same universe, and I'm blanking on what the name of the universe is, but it's the Stormlight Archive and his Mistborn series and everything. It all takes place in one universe, and I would like to start reading that. I did start The Way of Kings from the Stormlight Archive, and I got about a third, almost half of the way through it, and then realized that it was all part of this bigger thing, and stopped reading that so that I could start from the beginning and kind of read them all and put the Stormlight Archive on hold because that series is still in the works of being published. And it's just so intimidating with so many books in that universe that I'm really hesitant to start in on it until I'm in a place where I've gotten my physical owned TBR down to a more manageable level. Question number 7 is, if you could recommend one book or book series above all others, what would that be? And I can't just recommend one book or book series above all others. You guys are all readers. You know how it is to be just like, this is the most amazing book ever, because you can't recommend that way to people. You have to get to know who they are and what their tastes are to be able to recommend something that will really resonate with them. And so I don't like recommending something just a blanket right off the bat. However, if I were to recommend a sci-fi series that I think everybody could find something in and really enjoy, it would have to be the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, just because it's got a Game of Thrones sort of feel, it's got a Hunger Games sort of feel, it's got really complex characters, and it is a light sci-fi. So it's not going to turn off individuals who have a hard time reading sci-fi. So that one definitely for sci-fi. For fantasy, it would be the Diviner series by Libba Bray, just because it's historical fantasy. It takes place in the 1920s, which is really intriguing on its own. The fantasy is more of a paranormal fantasy, and I think that there's a little bit of everything in that series for people as well, especially since some of the characters are incredibly complex. The cast of characters is incredibly diverse, and there's lots of mini subplots, the book plot, and then the overarching series plot that I think is all incredibly well woven together, that I have to recommend that for a fantasy series that I think everyone should read. And question number 8 is, what are your reading plans and booktube plans for the next 6 months? And this is a good time for me to be doing this because the next 6 months will encompass the end of this year and the beginning of 2019. And I'm really hoping more than anything just to get back to reading and posting on a more consistent basis, coming out of my reading and booktube slump. So that is it for the Road So Far book tag. I am going to tag Lucy and Scott from Book Axe. It's been a while since I've seen y'all do a tag, and so I think this one has some really interesting questions for you guys to answer, and it would be awesome if you guys did it as a pair, as well as Gabby from Gab Is About Books, as well as Aza from Dreaming of Books. So now is the perfect time, if you guys have not already done so, click that little subscribe button down below if you'd like to see more content from me in the future, and if you want to follow me elsewhere on the interwebs, I have all of my social media links in the description box down below, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!